Okay, today you are going to be doing Unit 9, Lessons 2 and 3. This lesson is all about lines cut by a transversal, normally parallel lines. I posted some guided notes in the announcements, so you could use those guided notes to go through this with me and make sure you have everything worked out and ready to go. So we're going to start with some definitions, and these are definitions, at least two of them I know you already know. So the first one is the perpendicular lines. What are perpendicular lines? Well, we know perpendicular lines are two lines that intersect to create a 90-degree angle. So two lines intersect creating a 90-degree angle. So we can insert in here, I'm going to draw a little picture, and I highly suggest you draw a picture in your notes. We can draw a little picture of some perpendicular lines, and remember our perpendicular lines make 90-degree angles, okay? So basically what that means is that we have that little symbol, you can get this to work, the little symbol in the corner that tells me I'm working with right angles, and it creates four right angles. So two lines intersect to create a 90-degree angle, right? That is just the parallel lines. Parallel lines, we know, are lines that never intersect. So parallel lines are kind of the opposite of this. They're lines that are never, ever going to intersect. No matter what happens, they are never going to be in the same space, okay? They're never going to cross each other. They're on the same plane, but they're never going to intersect each other. So you'll have one set of parallel lines, and then we usually have another set of parallel lines. So they're never going to cross. So we're going to work with those a lot today. The new vocabulary we have is a transversal. A transversal is a line that intersects two or more lines. Two or more lines. And they're usually parallel lines. They're usually parallel lines, okay? So we have perpendicular lines, parallel lines, and transversal are important vocab today that we need to know. So we're going to work specifically today with parallel lines cut by transversal, which we actually see all around us. We see intersecting lines every day. For example, a road, a map of your town is lines cut by transversals. So we're going to be looking at these all day today. So what I would like you to do is you have some blanks. We're going to go through this vocab together, and we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to cover up part of it so that we don't do too much at once. So draw this picture for me on your paper. You're going to draw two lines and a line cutting it. You're going to label the angles it creates: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's some special markings on here. This marking, these two markings, these mean that these lines are parallel. So whenever we see these like little triangles, like these double triangles, that means that they're parallel lines. Okay? So we're going to start looking at some of these angle relationships here, and we're going to see kind of what relationships are created through the parallel lines cut by the transversal. So in this picture, here's my parallel lines, this is my transversal, and I'm going to label that for you guys. Let me do that. So this is called the transversal. It's the line that intersects the two parallel lines, okay? So this is the transversal right here, okay? So we're going to start with our first set of angle relationships. Our first set of angle relationships we're going to talk about are interior angles. And the key word here is interior, and inside. So they are angles that lie inside the lines. So looking at this picture, my interior angles for this picture are 4, 3, 5, and 6. They are the angles that lay in between the two parallel lines, so inside the two lines. So I'm going to label them here. I'm going to put angle 4, angle 3, angle 5, and angle 6. Okay? Those are my interior angles. So we think inside, interior. Next, we have our exterior angles. Those are angles that, if we think exterior, that makes us think of the outside. Those are angles that lie outside the lines. So in this picture, 1, 2, 8, and 7 are my exterior angles. Angle 1, angle 2, angle 8, and angle 7 are my exterior angles. Okay? So they lay outside the lines. Our next vocab, and on a side note, I would really, really suggest that you guys make some flashcards. These are kind of a hard thing to remember if you don't study them, so making some flashcards would be a really awesome idea. So our next set of angles are alternate interior angles. We got a couple different words I want us to talk about here. So the first word is alternate or alternate. Think about when I alternate something. Like if I alternated passing out candy, I'm giving candy to every other kid. Not every single kid, but every other kid. And then we have the word interior again, which means inside. So there are alternate interior angles are interior angles that lie on opposite sides of the transversal. And this is very important. When the lines are parallel, their measures are equal. We're going to use that to help us figure out things. So our alternate interior angles here are 4 and 6 and 3 and 5. They're in alternating sides. So angle 4 we know is equal or congruent to angle 6. And angle 3 is congruent to angle 5 because they are alternating interior angles. Okay, they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So one's over here, one's over here, and they're both on the inside of the lines. Okay? All right, so what do y'all think our next one's going to be? If you thought alternate exterior angles, you're exactly right. Our next set of angles are alternate exterior angles. So we're still alternating from left to right, or from every other one, but now we're not just alternating, we're on the exterior, which is the outside. Okay, so they're angles that lie on opposite sides of the transversal, and when the lines are parallel, their measures are equal. It's important to remember here. So angle 1 would be alternate exterior to angle 7. All right, think about what would the other alternate exterior angle be. If you said 2 and 8, you're exactly right. So we can write this down as angle 1 is congruent to angle 7, and angle 2 is congruent to angle 8 because they are alternate interior angles. Or not interior, exterior angles. I get tongue-tied sometimes with this. They're alternate exterior angles because they're on the outside. If you look, they're on opposite sides of this transversal, and they're on the outside of the parallel lines. So they're on the, this is the inside, this is inside, and these are on the outside, okay? So we have alternate interior, alternate exterior. All right, let's look at the next kind. The next kind we're going to talk about are our corresponding angles, These are the angles that are in the same position on the two lines in relation to the transversal. And again, when these lines are parallel, their measures are equal. When these lines are parallel, their measures are equal. So when I say the same position, here is what I mean. If I start with angle 1, what angle is on the left side above a parallel line? What's the other angle on the left side above the parallel line? Well, that's angle 5. So angle 1 is congruent to angle 5 because they are corresponding. Okay? If I say what angle is underneath the parallel line on the left side of the transversal, well, that's angle 4 and angle 8 are in the same position. So angle 4 is congruent to angle 8. If I look at angle 2 is above the parallel lines on the right side, so is angle 6. So angle 2 and angle 6 are corresponding. And then the last one I see is angle 3 is on the right side below the parallel line. Oh, I've already used green. Let me use a different color. I like to use different colors when I do these. I'll use this pretty blue. So angle 3 is on the bottom right. Angle 7 is on the bottom right. So those are congruent. Now again, they're still corresponding if they're not parallel. They're just not congruent. Okay? We can only say these are congruent. And y'all know that from knowing this, y'all know that congruent, what does congruent mean when I say that? Y'all know congruent's this little, it's like an equal sign with a squiggly. Congruent means the same or equal, either one, the same. Okay, that's important to remember. All right, so those are corresponding angles, same place. All right, and then our last angle relationship we're going to look at is our vertical angles. Our vertical angles. And we've already actually talked about vertical angles. So vertical angles, we know, are pairs of angles formed by two intersecting lines. We've actually got a lot of vertical angles on this paper to look at. All right, so what color have I not used yet? Have I used pink? Yeah. Used purple. I haven't used purple. Okay, so vertical angles are angles that are across from each other, basically. So like 2 and 4 are vertical angles. And we talked about this the other day. If they're vertical angles, we know they're congruent. So we know that angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. All right, angle 1 and 3 are congruent because they are vertical. I sometimes call them butterfly angles because they make like a little butterfly, like if I was to draw the body of the butterfly and the wings. So sometimes called butterfly angles. All right. Angles 8 and 6 are congruent because they are vertical. And angle 5 and 7 are congruent because they are vertical. Okay, so those are our angle relationships here. Those are our angle relationships. All right? And we're going to use these relationships to find some missing things, okay? Now, the only other thing I want to point out to you is we do have one more kind of angle relationship here that I'm going to show to you guys. And you've actually already worked with this, but it's our supplementary angles, okay? So if we looked at just angle 1 and angle 2, so if I took my pen and I said, okay, I'm just going to look at these two angles, we notice that these are a straight line angle. And we learned on Tuesday, that straight line angles equal 180 degrees. So anytime they're side by side like this and they share a straight line, we know they're going to be supplementary. So 1 and 2 are supplementary. But 1 is also supplementary with 4. So 1 and 4 are also supplementary. And that makes sense because 4 and 2 are the same measure. So if 1 and 2 add up to 180, 1 and 4 are going to add up to 180. Okay? So these are different kinds of relationships. Everyone needs this written down in your paper because it's going to make your life so much easier to do quizzes and stuff if you have this written down. So let's go through at least one quick example of how to do this. And I don't want to do too much because I don't want to take too long, so I don't want you guys to lose interest, but we'll go through, let's see if I can get a good one. We'll do example 2. We're going to skip example 1, we're going to do example 2. Okay? So you go back and try example 1 in a second. Example 2. We say if angle 3 is 115 degrees, find the measure of the remaining angles and use each definition at least once. Supplementary, vertical, corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior. So I always start by, okay, angle 3 right here is 115 degrees. I'm going to mark that as 115 degrees. And now I need to find all these other angles. So I know angle 3 is 115 degrees because we were given that. So let's go down the list and try angle 4. Well, what kind of relationship does angle 4 have with angle 3? Well, they're not alternate interior. They're both inside, but they're not alternate interior. They're not alternate exterior. They're not corresponding, but they are sharing a straight line edge. They're sharing a straight line edge right here. So I can say that these two angles are supplementary. So if they add up to 180, and this one's already 115, what does angle 4 have to be? Well, all we have to do is 180 minus 115. If we do that, we get 65 degrees. So we know angle 4, I'm going to do this on a different color, show you all this. We now know that angle 4 is 65 degrees. Angle 4 is now 65 degrees. And we proved that because it was supplementary to angle 3. Okay? All right, now let's try angle 5. Well, what kind of relationship does angle 5 have with our given angle 3? Well, they're both on the inside and they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So angle 5 is alternate interior to angle 3. If they're alternate interior, we know they are equal. So if angle 3 is 115, that means angle 5 is also 115. And we can say that is because it is alternate interior to angle 3. So I've used supplementary, I've used alternate interior. Let's see what else I can use. All right, angle 6. How can we prove angle 6? Well, angle 6 is supplementary to 3, but even easier than that, angle 6 is vertical to angle 4. So if angle 4 is 65, angle 6 is also 65 degrees because they're vertical. So we can say it's 65 degrees because it's vertical to angle 4. So now we've used vertical. All right, angle 7. What does angle 7 measure? Well, angle 7 and angle 3 are corresponding. They're both on the right side above the line. So if they're corresponding, they're also equal. So angle 7 is 115 degrees because it's corresponding to angle 3. So most of these we're trying to prove through the relationship to angle 3. And if we can't, we're using other angles to do that. All right, angle 8. Angle 8. So we've used corresponding. The only one we haven't used is alternate exterior. Well, angle 8 is vertical to 3. It's supplementary to 4 and 6. We could use any of those, but I want to use alternate exterior. And it just so works out for me that angle 8 and angle 7 are alternate exterior. So I can say if angle 7 is 115, I know that angle 8 is also 115 degrees because it is alternate exterior to angle 7, which we just proved. So we've used every definition now. Now we just have to find angles 1 and 2, and we can use whatever definitions we want to. So let's go find angle 1. So I can say angle 1 is, what do y'all think angle 1 is? If you said 65 degrees, you're exactly right, because angle 1 is alternate interior to 4. Or you could say it's corresponding to 6, or it's supplementary to 7. It's totally your choice. So I would say I like to use the alternate ones. Those are my favorites. So it's alternate interior to angle 4. And then lastly, angle 2 is also going to be 65 degrees because it is vertical to 1. And we just went around and we found every measurement. So notice here that it's the same two numbers every time. It's either 65 or 115. 115 or 65. So if you find 2 of them, you can find every other angle on this paper. If I give you 1, you can find every other angle on this paper. So this is kind of a how-to. I need you guys to watch this video, do your lesson, and then try your quiz. What I'm going to do is if you want to do example 1 real quick, I will pause this and I'll fill out example 1 so you can stop the video, try example 1 and check your answers and see how you did. And then if you have any questions, send me an email. I know this video is a little bit long, but since we didn't have class together, this is the best I can do. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to pause this, fill out example 1, and you guys can check your answers on there real quick. Okay, so this is just real quick. If you want to try number 1, these are the examples to number 1. You only have to do angles 1 through 5. I found angle 1 was 50. They gave us angle 6 was 50. Angle 1 was 50 because it was alternate exterior 6. Angle 2 was 130 because it was supplementary to 6. So, excuse me. We had to subtract it from 180. We got 130. Angle 3 was vertical to angle 6, so it was also 50. Angle 4 was corresponding to angle 6, so it was also 50. And angle 5 was 130 because it was also interior to angle 2. And then you guys can figure out that angle 7 and 8 are also both 130 degrees. I hope you guys are doing well with this. If you need anything else, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye, everybody.